Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Death Ward.
Blah. Yeah, that's the word death.
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like and looks like
God,
verbatim. My
I
face
hope that.
appears, the hands part, and everything. Every time you cast this spell, Death Ward is a 4th level abjuration spell for clerics and paladins. Kind of. They also have some subclasses that get this. We'll get into it. Touch verbal somatic component has duration of an hour, no concentration. Neat. You touch a creature, granted a measure of protection from death. The first time it would drop to 0. It drops to 1 instead, and the spell ends. If the spell is still in effect when the target is subjected to an effect that would instantly kill it, the effect is negated against the target, and the spell ends. So, like, if you have like a power word kill or something, you'd be like, instant death, they'd be like, nah, I'm good, actually. And then nothing happens. It doesn't even go to 1, just nothing happens. That's going to happen almost never. People are normally dying from going to 0. So that's where most of this text is. The reason I say it's not just cleric and paladin is because there's actually 2 really interesting cases with it, and those are the warlock subclasses, the undying and undead. They also both get access to this on their expanded spell list. And because it's an 8-hour duration and they get their spell slots back on short rest, this spell becomes really interesting on them. For the regular folks, though, for the clerics and paladins out there that are just taking this above rate, as a regular person, as you do, how do you feel about Death Ward, Bob?
My mind is going to ways to have fun with it rather than using it as a measure of protection.
Such as?
I don't know, like sitting on a hand grenade or something, or jumping off of a building.
You're thinking, like, in real life, how do I have fun with this? You're like, I want to experience death. All right, great. Shotgun in mouth, Death Ward, go. That's where we're at right now.
For the thrill seekers.
Sure. Hey, this is something you do before you bike over the Grand Canyon or whatever, right? I think in game, this doesn't play as well as it looks for a lot of classes. I think Death Ward tends to feel a little bit clunky in that you don't really want to commit a long rest spell slot on it just because you don't know what's going to come up. You don't, like, this is something you maybe put on yourself once per long rest, once you're in like 11th level plus, whenever this is a really easily and cheaply accessible. If you're spending your highest level spell slot on this, and it just sometimes doesn't occur, it's a big bummer. You're like, I didn't need this, and I could have had a cooler spell that did cooler things that I could have cast with that 4th level spell slot. I don't love that. If you're a paladin, this basically doesn't have text. Because if you're a paladin, you don't want to commit a 4th level spell slot, which is super far down the road on this effect. But if you're a cleric, yeah, I think if you have like 5th, 6th level spell slots to play with, you start feeling pretty comfortable burning one of your 2/4s on a Death Ward on yourself. That's really the full extent I see it particularly being interesting on that character, though, and it's normally just because, like, I use this on myself because we have no other healers. I'm the only person that get people off 0. This is in case I go to 0, I can get out of dodge. I can go, okay, crap, cleric or wizard teleport me out. Somebody move me somewhere else. I need to not be here anymore. My Death Ward popped. We're in danger, right?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. That if in the event that somebody is brought to 0 and drops, is this really that much more effective than a healing word?
No.
Because it's going to be the way I'm envisioning it, the same thing. They're going to drop to 0, but oh no, now they've got 1, and they're very vulnerable to dropping again. Same with healing word. They drop. You use your bonus action to healing word them. They're up to on their feet, but not looking great.
So it is very similar. And that's, I think, a big point against Death Ward, and again, why it doesn't feel great to ever use this on yourself. You can't healing word yourself whenever you go down. That's why I try to say, like, this is something you're probably only casting on yourself. In the case of healing word specifically, like, in the upper tiers, there is a really big problem clerics start to run into with healing word, where you start kind of like fishing for more people to go down to get mass healing words to budget your economy better, because you can only cast, once you get in the upper tiers, your weapon attacks start doing like really a menial amount of damage. So you find your action gets worse and worse if you're not casting spells with spell slot levels with them. So that means the healing word taking a spell slot still kind of eats your whole turn, because you can't cast another spell at 1st level or higher after you bonus action healing word somebody. So it puts you in a situation where Death Ward removes that barrier. Death Ward says you can still do all of your hopper level casting things, no action required, and the no action required, the no needing to spend time on healing word, it's more meaningful in the upper tiers of play. I think if you're probably like a 17th through 20th level character, you're probably putting out 2 or 3 death wards on characters, and it'll feel pretty fine, especially given that there's very low chances that you'll actually use all of your spell slots before that long rest, right? I think that's where it is better than Healing Word in a notable way, is in the upper tiers whenever you want to be spending round after round casting spell slots. That isn't going to be always, though. Sometimes you're going to have damaging effects up that you're commanding around using your action or using your bonus action. You're going to have long duration concentration effects, and you don't mind even a little bit taking actions to hit things with your base and bonus action get somebody up. So it's going to vary table to table, but it's comparable enough that I think it should show you and highlight Death Ward in the low tiers, especially, is pretty underwhelming.
All right. Well, yeah. Everything else I'm thinking is stupid shenanigans you can get up into.
Sure, jumping off cliffs with Death Ward up to as a means of fast travel. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
We need to get to the ground. Great, Death Ward. See ya. Off the blimp I go. And that works. That is actually and let's be honest, that is a point in its favor. You can do some occasionally, not often, very occasionally, some really dumb shit that will work out for you.
It's poor man's teleport.
In teleport down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. It's also a very, very poor man's featherfall. So there is a neat little thing I want to talk about that the Undying and Undead Warlocks get this as a spell. It feels more like a feature to them, and the reason it does is Pact Magic lets you get back your spell slots on short rest instead of long rest. And because this is an 8-hour duration, it doesn't care anything else about when your spell slots come back or when the spell slot you expended comes back or anything like that. You can, if you ever have a long rest planned, you can take an extra hour before or after that long rest and just spend your Pact Magic slots on free Death Wards. And then it doesn't even feel like it really costs you spell slots anymore, because you can just go, okay, instead of taking 8 hours to rest, let's take 9 hours to rest. You rest, you get your long rest stuff back for all the other party members, then you go, great, everyone hang out for an hour. Death Ward, Death Ward, Death Ward, I'm short resting. And then you're back with your full spell slots, you got 7 hours worth of Death Wards to go, and it felt like you spent nothing. And that's a really cool play pattern that those two subclasses get access to. I think it takes Death Ward on those characters and makes it a lot more interesting, because now you do have 3 free uses of Death Ward, and it doesn't cost you any resources, and you're like, this is great, this is all gravy. And those characters don't otherwise really have access to healing magic. The Undying and Undead aren't like the Celestial, they're on like other like divine subclasses that get a lot of healing stuff. This is sort of a just neat little supportive toolbox element they get that makes them sneakily good. It's more of a feature on them than it is really a expended spell. And that's why I kind of wanted to point it out here to be like, if you like the concept of Death Ward, if you want to play like a Guardian against Death's Gate, both those options play it really well at 7th level. And I would highly recommend taking a look into them for this kind of stuff. The Death Ward on multiple characters over a long rest is really easy and super efficient.
Great. That's valuable information.
That's why I'm here. Valuable information.
Yeah.
And BSing about Walls of Stone. Those two things. Predominantly.
I don't know. What else we got to say about Death Ward?
You probably don't need this. If you're a cleric and it doesn't spark joy, I wouldn't take it. If you're paladin, I would never take it. Yeah. That's where this lands. Maybe you're the only healer as a paladin and you want to Death Ward yourself so you can have like a glorious last finale. I'm wondering if that glorious last finale would have been necessary if you sunk another 78 damage into something with a 4th level smite. But your mileage may vary. I don't think half-casters can really justify this low impact of upper level spells with their slots. Paladins will suffer that problem. As a cleric, if you're in the upper tiers, that's fine. If you're either of those two warlock subclasses, this is a baller. Outside of that, this is pretty underwhelming and I wouldn't cast it.
What about we haven't talked about the non-damaging death types.
Because there's like 3.
I know, but like if you know you're going to be facing the Disintegrator, then is this worth casting?
You're a prepared caster as a cleric, so more so, yeah. Like if you know you're going into instant death, obviously this gets a lot better. Where you're like, we have planned for a monster that we know, like a basilisk that instantly kills you on sight. Having a way to be like, no, we can make one mistake is pretty good. That definitely makes it better. I think those circumstances are like 5 monsters in all of Dungeons and Dragons have that kind of capability, because they typically tend to be very unfun to play against whenever you're like, red monster time, what could it be? Oh shit, you're dead. It's not a particularly fun play pattern for a lot of players.
Well, you
I feel like it doesn't
mentioned
really come up a lot.
basilisk. Don't they just turn into stone?
I don't know if being petrified counts as dying. Probably doesn't. So
Yeah,
not basilisks.
I don't think that would work.
Great. So there's only 4 then creatures in all of existence that can instantly kill you, and none of them jump to mind. They're probably using power word kill. I can't think of other ways really quickly off the top of my head. That's like, I think, that's not true. The sea hag, I believe, can instantly kill people with a scream. I think the banshee might be able to as well. That might have an insta kill attached to a save. There are very few insta kills in this game. And again, for good reason. No, never mind. An failed creature drops to 0 hit points. Never mind. So it does the exact same thing. It would put you to 1 instead. So banshees don't count. I don't know if sea hags do.
Well, I wonder what does count. Is it just power word kill?
That's the only thing that jumps to mind. There's probably there's definitely homebrew ways to be like, it instantly kills you. Let's check sea hags real quick, because they have the death glare. If a target's one frightened creature, it makes an DC 11 saving throw or drops to 0 hit points. So that also does an outright kill. So we're finding fewer and fewer instances where it does, the second life text actually does anything. Maybe this is a spell sniper scenario. Maybe we're in a situation where like there has to be something in this game that this text matters for. Maybe there just isn't. So no, I take it back. There's no reason to repair this with this considerations in mind. I mean, it still prevents you from dropping to 0. So things that drop you to 0, sure. But
still thinking, like, all right, you get teleported into the center of the sun, but no, that probably just drops you 0.
Yeah, and then you go back to 1, and then you burn to death, right? Like, the you would want it to prevent like a target creature dies, and that is the only thing that jumps to mind is power word kill. Is like, it is at 150 HP, it dies. Disintegrate automatically kills it without death saves, but that does damage to get you there, so you can still go to 1. So like, it doesn't mitigate all of the disintegrate effect, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong and it does. I don't know. Commenters, you can let me know. But I'm finding, and commenters also let us know what things do instantly kill you in this game, because we are really struggling to find things that instantly kill players. It doesn't seem like there are many. I guess, so using this on a monster, where insta kill off of a whale would drop it to 0 instead of dropping it to 1. No, that still just drops to 1, and then it still dies to a single attack. Never mind, I take it all back. I got nothing.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it was a nice exercise.
All right. Now, how are you going to rate this? Are you going to rate this just straight, or are you going to rate it for, like, separately for undead and undying warlocks?
That's in their subclass. That's something I would deal with. Like, that's a more of a subclass feature than the spell. If you're talking, I think the vast majority of people that are looking at Death Ward are clerics or paladins, and for that it's a 2. There'll be some situations in the upper tiers where it's fine. There'll be a couple handful of encounters where we'll be like, we know we're going to certain death, take Death Ward. Beyond that, or like, again, the dumb plans that involve, let's feign your death by getting you shot in the head by some master assassin, and we'll laugh in his face whenever you don't, if the job isn't done. There's some utility to that.
You're not going to be laughing.
You're going to be
still going to hurt.
That's also true. I think there are some niche use cases where you'll be like, yeah, I guess I'll take Death Ward here. I think 99% of games don't need this, and I don't think most clerics should ever really worry about it.
You're absolutely right, including your rating of a 2, but I'm going to give it a 3 just for the fun you can have.
Sure. Just for jumping off the airship. Yes. The wizard goes, wait, I have Featherfall, and you just go, see you, loser.
Featherfall's too slow.
Yeah, I'll race you down there.
I have Rockfall.
Why are you almost bloody and broken and still just at 1 HP? It was worth it. It was worth it. Cost him a tooth.
All right. Well, that was Death Ward. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.